Do fraternal orders run the world? You can turn back now or learn the stuff they don't want you to know. Welcome back to the show, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. That is Matt behind the camera. I'm Ben, that makes this stuff they don't want you to know. This week, we're diving into fraternal orders. Now, when you hear fraternal orders, you probably think of a couple of things. You think of maybe fraternities, right? You think of perhaps secret societies. Well, both of those answers are in their own way correct. So the first order of business is that we define what a fraternal order actually is. Well, nowadays, fraternal order is more of an umbrella term for a huge number of organizations. And these are all groups of people, sometimes men and women as well, who come together for a common interest that benefits them. It sounds pretty vague, right? One of the big things to remember is that these common interests, again, in the modern day, are usually something that is social rather than something familial. So although they call themselves a brotherhood, they're connected by this mutual interest rather than some sort of mutual bloodline in most cases. So what kind of common interest could a fraternal organization have? Well, it runs the gamut. Even here in the United States, it could be something purely social. It could be something that's called a service organization, which is or a benevolent organization. And the idea there is, to do volunteer work, to help fund hospitals and stuff like that. It could also be a political organization where a bunch of people got together because they have the same views on one or more political issues, and they say, hey, let's form a fraternal order. And yes, they'll have symbols and pins and the same weird handshakes, just like the Freemasons, also a fraternal order, perhaps one of the most famous. Then there are, of course, religious or mystical orders. And we cannot discount the importance of trade orders or merchant orders. In fact, there are even fraternal orders for criminal enterprises. Yeah, think like a brotherhood of thieves. I know it sounds like something out of an RPG, but it is a real life thing, and you can fall down a rabbit hole pretty quickly here. So next question, how old are fraternal orders? That's a good question, and of course they existed before the bad jocks on Revenge of the Nerds, but they also existed before the United States. In fact, they existed before what we know of as the modern European states. Fraternal orders, or at least evidence of their existence, dates all the way back to the Mithraic Mysteries, a mystery religion in ancient Rome, and before that there's evidence of fraternal orders in ancient Greece. Now, these orders were, again, religiously based. So these would have secret rites. These would have levels of initiation and knowledge or privilege that comes with those levels. And speaking of Europe, let's fast forward just a little bit past ancient Rome and Greece into more of the Middle Ages of Europe. And that's where we find the rise of trade-related fraternal organizations, or in other words, guilds. Now, the guilds that come around in Europe definitely are fraternal organizations. Weirdly enough, a lot of those guilds are still active in the city of London today. And that deserves an episode all on its own, so comment if you want us to do a City of London episode. Audio, video, I don't care. I am champing at the bit here. Now, of course, at this point you might be wondering, what? Medieval trade guilds in City of London? Do they really need saddles still in the middle of such a huge metropolitan area? Well, the answer is that they're doing something completely different nowadays. Spoiler alert. We'll have to do this episode, Matt. We'll have to do this episode. Next question. How many fraternal orders are there exactly? Well, we can only assume that many have risen and fallen without leaving their mark in history. We know for a fact that the continents that humans populate are lousy with fraternal organizations. And although it's true that you're just a Google search away from all sorts of things purporting to be complete lists of fraternal orders, the truth is that no one knows exactly how many there are. Because while not all fraternal orders are inherently secret societies, several of them are. And we could name just a few. You know, you're not supposed to reveal some of the initiation rites for Freemasons. And you're also not supposed to talk about organizations like the Skull and Bones, even if you are or were a president who also was in that organization in college, and even if your opponent in the last election was also a member. You just can't talk about it. Nothing wrong with that, right? So let's go to the United States. In the United States, nowadays, there are hundreds of fraternal organizations. A lot of them are trade organizations, and they run the gamut in trades. They could be for police officers, they could be for firefighters, they could be for, yes, the world of banking, which some people think is a scary thing. One other note, just like other charitable organizations or religious institutions, fraternities don't have to pay taxes if they meet certain requirements. So let's take a quick look at the history of fraternal orders in the United States. As weird as it sounds, membership in fraternal orders was a huge deal for a lot of early American history. As a matter of fact, people were members in multiple orders, and people might look at you askance or think you're a bit low class, or excuse me, déclassé is probably what they'd say, if you weren't in a fraternal order. These private organizations, again, had enormous influence on the public life and the future of the country. So much so that numerous early writers, both Americans and Europeans, wrote about this interaction between private organizations and public life in their works. If you check out Democracy in America, a famous look at early life in America, you will find evidence of the author saying, whoa, private institutions play a big role in the government here. And that brings us to the meat of the conversation, the bone that people pick in the debate, which is it a good idea to have fraternal orders influencing public life? Is it an exaggeration to say that they still have as much influence as they do in the modern day? Opposition to various fraternal orders has been around as long as those orders existed, at least in the United States. For instance, one of the early third parties in American politics was, get this, the Antimasonic Party. True story. Real. We couldn't make this up. We wouldn't have thought of something this crazy, but it is true. For about 10 years, there was a third party in the United States whose entire platform was based on routing the Freemasons out of the American government because they thought that both of the other political parties were representing the interest of the Freemasons rather than the interest of John Q. Public. Or I guess since it was an earlier time, it would be like James Quintavious Public, or, you know, something classy. So was the Anti-Masonic Party just batshit crazy, or were they on to something? That question is surprisingly difficult to answer with any authority nowadays, but we do know the answer to another question. Did the Anti-Masonic Party succeed? No. Absolutely not. They lasted, as we said, for about a decade, and then they were gone. But still, it is an interesting footnote in the history of the debate over fraternal orders. And this is a debate that we would like to start today in the comments on our Facebook and on our Twitter. Let us know what you think. Are concerns about fraternal organizations just a bunch of sort of, I don't know, tinfoil hat stuff? Or do these organizations have an influence on the Republic of the United States? And so today we want to pass this debate on to you as well. Do you think that the alarmism about fraternal orders, everything from, you know, fraternities to police brotherhoods and City of London trade guilds, do you think that this is all exaggerated? Do you think this is a wild conspiracy nut thing? Or do you think that those concerns are valid? Is it possible that there are certain fraternal organizations that are affecting the public life, making decisions for the government, moving things in a direction that the voters might not have voted for? And if so, why? We'd love to hear what you think, so let us know in the comments below. You can also drop us a line. We're Conspiracy Stuff on Facebook, Twitter. If you want to learn more about fraternal organizations, then go ahead and check out Stuff They Don't Want You to Know, where we'll have a new blog post about this coming up very soon. Oh, Hey, you're still here, huh? Well, if you are still here, that probably means one of a few things. Either you left this plane and you've gone off to check on whatever's cooking, or you got a phone call, or maybe you're in the bathroom. I don't know. I don't want to pigeonhole you. Or maybe you're like one of our earlier commenters who was so pissed about how many pockets were on this jacket. I get it, man. I get it. I've lost stuff in here that I still can't find. What is this pocket doing here? No idea. Or you might just be watching to figure out what we're doing next week. What we're doing next week might be interesting to quite a few of you, especially if you're one of the criminals that we're talking about and watching this show right now. Well, Ben, you might be asking, if someone committed a horrendous crime, how could they be sitting around watching your little show on YouTube? What a great question. Next week, we're talking about criminals who got away with it and are alive today.